Welcome everybody. For this Sugyah we will learn the Gemara and the Rashi. We will do some Rashbams and Tosfot, but the Pashup Pshat will be just Gemara and the few Rashis. Gemara starts right on top. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Arba kosos halalu, these 4 kosos, tzarech sheyehei behen kedei mizigas kos yafe. They need to have in them enough to dilute and come out with a proper cup of wine. Now what does that mean? Rashi here says, Shi'uro rova revius, the shear of raw wine, enough to mix, to create, to produce a proper cup of wine, is 1/4 of a fourth. That's a 16th. Now what is that of? 1/4 of a lug. A lug is a certain measurement in the days of Chazal, and a revius halug is 1/4 of a lug. So here Shmuel says you need enough raw wine to mix and produce a kos yafe. And Rashi says that is a rova revius, 1/4 of a lug, kidei, in order, sheyimzagenu v'yamod al revius lug, in order that when you mix it, you'll have a full revius of lug of wine that is drinkable. The chamra de lo dore, that wine, de lo dore achad tlas maya, that is not mixed with 1:3 ratio of water, lav chamrahu, is not called wine. Now what this means is the following. If I have a quarter of raw wine, so when I have 1/4 of the quarter, and I add 3 parts water corresponding to that 1/4 of raw, that 16th of raw wine, I'll come out with a full revius. Right? If I take 1/4 of raw wine, this rova, 1/4 of raw wine, and then 3/4 of water, I'll come out with a full revius, because each of these quarters were 1/4 of the revius. Right, that's what Rashi says is the explanation of what Shmuel requires. Now here Rashi ends up b'chosal kedaitach, and we think right now, the Gemara is of the opinion right now, it's on our minds, the bein kulam kama Shmuel, that Shmuel means that of all the 4 kosos together, all you need is the lahave rova revius yain, 1/4 of a lug, 1/4 of a revius, which is 1/4 of wine. So this 1/16 of raw wine would be enough for all the 4 kosos together. All right, we'll see how the Gemara will ask a question on that assumption. Back to the Gemara. Shason chai, if a person drinks raw wine, yotza, he's yotze in a mitzvah. Shason bevas achas, if he drank the wine in 1 shot, yotza, he's yotze in a mitzvah. And the 4th halacha, hishka mehen lebanov v'livnei veso yotza. If he gave to drink from his cup of wine to his sons and to other people of his household, he is yotze in a mitzvah. Let's see Rashi. First of all, shason chai, which means shalo mazgo b'mayim, that he did not mix the raw wine. Chai is raw wine. He didn't mix it with water. He's yotze, the halacha says. What does bevas achas mean? 1 time. Ira arba'asol toch kos echad. He had 4 cups, and he poured all the 4 cups into 1 large cup. That's drinking it in 1 shot. All right, back to the Gemara. The Gemara now analyzes the 4 halachos. It begins with the second halacha. It says in the second halacha, the first halacha was that they need to have enough, the shear of how much raw wine you need. Then it got to Shas and Chai. So let's go back. It goes now. It starts with Shas and Chai. Shas and Chai yotza. You drank your raw, you are yotzei the mitzvah. Omar Rava says, you're not totally fulfilled the mitzvah. You didn't totally fulfill it. Yidei yayin yotza. Yes, you fulfilled the requirement to drink wine. However, yidei cherus lo yotza. You did not fulfill the requirement of being free by drinking the wine. What does Rashi say on that? Yidei yayin yotza shesasa daled kosos. Yeah, you drank the 4 cups. However, yidei cherus lo yotza. You did not fulfill the aspect of being free. Kilomar, as if to say, ein zu mitzvah shlema. It is not a complete mitzvah. Why not? So, as we saw earlier, that the person should drink regular wine that's not raw. Raw wine is not drunk by wealthy people. So yes, it's wine. You drank yudei yayin yotza. However, you did not fulfill the requirement of being free, because being free would have drank mixed wine, not the raw wine. Okay, halacha number 3. Shasam bevas achas. You drank it in one shot. Rav says this time, yidei yayin yotza. You fulfilled the mitzvah of wine, all right, like we had before. However, yidei arba kosos lo yotza, but you did not fulfill the aspect of drinking 4 cups of wine at the right time, because as according to Rashi, you poured all the 4 kosos into one, so that did not give you the mitzvah of arba kosos. Third halacha, actually this is the 4th halacha, hishka mehen lebano v'beso. You gave part of your cup to drink to your sons and other members of your household. Yotza, Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, he comments on this one. For who the ashte ruba de casa, that you fulfilled the mitzvah so long as you yourself drank most of the cup. You gave out some of it, but you yourself had to drink most of the cup. Okay, now we turn to the first halacha we mentioned. Meisvei, the Gemara has a kasha right now on Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, who said that all you need is, for the 4 kosos, is a 16th of raw wine. So it says here in the Brisa, Dala kosos alalu, these 4 cups of wine, sarach shehei behen gedei revius echad. Each of them should have a revius of wine. Sorry, gedei revius, comma. So shebehem gedei revius, comma. Echad chai, whether it is raw, v'echad mazug, whether it is mixed. Echad chadash, whether it is new wine. V'echad yashan, or whether it is aged, old wine. It still needs revius. Rabbi Yehuda says, Sarach sheyehei bo ta'am umara yain. It must have the flavor and the look of wine. Now, ketani mihas. So incidentally, bottom line, what did the Gemara, what did the Brisa teach? Kidei revius, you need a revius of wine. Vi'at omras, but you say, Shmuel, you say kos yofe, that all you need is enough raw wine to make 1 cup, 1 proper kos, and that's enough for all 4 kosos. The Gemara answers, Omrei, Shmuel means to say, well, we say, Idei v'idei chad shiurei. We'll say the following, Idei v'idei, Shmuel and this Brisa really are all talking about chad shiurehu. 1 shear, it's the same, there's no machlokas here. There's no kasha on a meir, on a Shmuel. They're all the same shear. My kidei mezigas kos yafeh dika. What does Shmuel mean when he says you need enough raw wine to have a proper mixed cup of wine produced? L'kol chad v'chad. That refers to each cup of the 4 kosos. Dahavi lahu kule revius. So each of them has a revius of wine. He doesn't mean to say a 1/16 of raw wine for all 4. No, it's 1/16 for each of them. So when you add 3 more 16th, you'll have a quarter of a lug, which is exactly the shear you need for each kos, which is exactly the shear that the Brisa also requires. All right. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Tzarich sheyehei bo tam umara." You need to have the look and the flavor of wine. That we saw that in the end of the brisa. So Omar Rav comments, "My time of the Rabbi Yehuda." What is the reason, Rabbi Yehuda? Tichsiv, it says in the pasuk in Mishlei, "Al tira yain kiyis adem." Do not look upon wine when it is red. All right, you may get drunk. You may be enticed to drink more of it and get drunk, and therefore, when it is red. So you see that what is called wine, it is called red wine. Let's just see some of the rest of the Rashis. All right, Kidei Revius, this is Ben Kulan. That is what we thought Shmuel says. So Kasha l'Shmuel, that's the Kasha l'Shmuel, the Omar, who says Rova Revius. All you need for all of the kosos is a quarter of a quarter, the Hainu Kos Yafeh. That will produce one Kos Yafeh, which should be divided. Hachi Garsina and my Kos Yafeh, Shmuel. What is the Kos Yafeh Shmuel meant? The Kol Chav Echad, each of the cups, the Havalu Chul Revius, which if you add up all the kosos together, then you'll get a full revius of raw wine. Al Tira Yain Kiyas Adem, Alma we see, Yayin Mareba, that Yayin, to be called wine, needs a nice look of wine, and that look is red wine. Okay, now you can answer the questions of the PSS.